Tim Cook in the top 100, AR/VR headset speculation, and Conan O'Brien joins Sirius. This is MacVoices. Today's edition of MacVoices is supported by Truebill. Get control of your subscriptions at truebill.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we're finally off the ground on Tuesday night. It's 8 p.m. Eastern or a few minutes after, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are. We are on youtube.com/MacVoices TV, and we'd love to have you join us in the chat room at the same location. And if you're seeing this after the fact, well, another Tuesday is coming, and you could be here then. So enjoy this show and be here next time. A number of things to get through tonight. Some fun topics, I think some interesting topics. But we're going to go around the room first and find out who's here, because we have a lot of people here. So starting in my left-hand corner, as always, Mr. David Ginsburg. David, welcome. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here. It's a glorious Tuesday, and it's already been a busy week. But I'm glad to be here and have some fun talking all these good topics we have for tonight.
Yeah, right there with you, David. You know, it's funny how it can be Tuesday already and it seems like hyper busy, but yeah, right there with you. Mr. Jeff Gamet is here up on the right-hand corner of my screen. Jeff, how are you?
I am doing great. And as always, Chuck, it is awesome to be here, and I'm excited to be hanging out with everyone tonight.
Hey, this is one of the highlights of my week, no question about it. Next up, Mr. Andrew Orr, the newest columnist for Apple Insider.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's been a while.
It has, Andrew. Congratulations on the new gig.
Thank you.
Is there any particular beat you will be covering?
Not really a beat, at least not right now. So I guess we're still in the early process.
Okay. Well, keep us informed. We'll look for your byline and see if we can guess what your beat is.
Yeah.
How's that?
Apple stuff. That's your beat.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
It is.
Thank you for that clarification, Jeff.
Sure thing.
Jim Ray is here. Jim, good to have you.
Hey, great to be here. It's a beautiful day here in California as well.
Is it?
I like beautiful? It when it's still light out when MacVoices is on. In January, it's all dark and.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's true too.
I guess for you, it might still be light in Pennsylvania.
There's some light out there. It's an ugly night, so it's kind of dark. But
we're getting to the point where it'll still be light when MacVoices is over, and I can go for my walk.
There you go. Or we just keep on going so that we're sure you're walking in the dark.
You have to go pretty late.
Well, it's been known to happen here. Mark Fuccio is here, sporting this time some stock charts from Sirius and Spotify. Mark, good to have you.
Good to have you. I think this might be apropos, given some of the suggested topics for tonight. And, I agree with Jim. It's a nice day here in California. It's was peaked around 93 degrees in my part of the Bay Area. And last week, everyone made fun of me for leaving because my watch told me it was time to get up and stand. And I think we have some other secret, watch advice and walking people here on the show. So I don't know if Jim has a watch. I think I've seen sometime maybe he has a different band on his wrist, but well, that's good. Yeah, that's good. We let with the Siri, the watch lady, give us good advice to get up and move around until we're just heads in a jar, with a Neuralink and stuff has happened.
Wow. Okay. Looking forward to that day. Thank you, Mark. Last but absolutely not least, Mr. Frank Petrie has arrived. Frank, good to have you back.
I have shown up.
Yes, good to have you.
It's nice to have somewhere to go on a Tuesday.
Well,
no one will let me in anywhere on a Tuesday, but here I feel at home with you guys. And I've noticed lately, this has become an all-male panel all of a sudden. The majority of the time, what happened?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to ping Kelly. I know Britt has been off doing a number of things. She's in the chat room tonight.
Oh, is she?
Because yeah, she's in the chat room. Well, yeah, the YouTube chat room. She had another. She just commented, "Cognition doesn't end at the neck." So there you go, Mark. That's just for you.
Doesn't it?
I don't know. Ask. She's a neuroscientist. Why are you
I think it
asking
just
her?
got hot in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a comment, but I have to save it for the after dark. So,
Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, and Barry says I've already closed all 3 rings, so he can sit through the entire episode. Good for you, Barry.
Oh, there you go.
Good for you. First topic tonight that I wanted to throw out, and I'm throwing it into our respective chat rooms, first into the YouTube chat room and now into our private chat. Tim Cook picked up one of the spots on the 100 most influential people for 2022. Is this a surprise to anyone?
No,
Apparently not. Okay.
really. Just some people in the print media are finally catching up, and they've got annual lists and things to create. So they put them on.
Yeah, I haven't read the whole list, but I just when I saw this, it seemed like some of the at least the Mac news sites were kind of making a big deal out of it, and it's like, well, I know we're all Apple focused, but with everything that Apple continues to accomplish, even in spite of the pandemic, in a lot of cases, this just seems such an obvious thing that okay, great,
I was actually kind of surprised. I thought for sure it would have had to be the president of the Ukraine.
Well, this wasn't the man of the year. This was just the top 100. It's just the top 100.
Well, that's right. That's right. And Steve's widow wrote a thing, a little piece about him in there.
How could Tim Cook not be in the top 100?
I thought he has been.
He
before.
wasn't last year, was he?
He was in my top 100.
And that's what really counts.
Is he on your Christmas card list?
No.
Oh.
I don't know. Was he in last year's top 100?
I thought he was before, maybe not last year.
If he was, it wasn't made a big deal out of like this year. Okay, how many of you actually read Time magazine?
Yeah.
Oh, I just get it to look at the pictures.
I used to read it in the 1970s.
Remember Life magazine?
I do.
I loved Life magazine.
And he's in the Titans category.
Yes, in the 1970s.
Yeah. And when that came delivered to the house, I was just nuts over it. The photography was phenomenal.
Oh, sure. Jeff, it looks like you were looking it up.
I was. Tim was on the list last year.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why am I thinking that he was off one year?
I don't know. But
of course, that assumes I'm thinking. But
yeah, well, Mark makes a real good point, though, that they have articles to fill, and these are always the kind of things that people gravitate to, whether they have any meaning or not.
But I have another interpretation. It may just be how slow Apple News is. That as you said, that a lot of Apple sites are making a big deal out of it. So maybe they're hungry for content too.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but I don't know that someone pointed out on a YouTube show that we may actually be dealing mainly with software, oddly enough, at double dub, because you can leak hardware because of the supply chain, but you really can't leak software because that's all in-house. So there are some
has
people
always
that are
been mostly about software.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that wouldn't be a bad thing by any means.
That would be a great thing if they. Well, I heard a thing tonight that they were thinking of maybe renaming iOS to iPhone iOS, since they have iPad OS, Watch OS, HomePod OS, TV OS, Mac OS. They're like, why not iPhone OS? Why just iOS for that?
Well, that's Apple's done that kind of thing before. I mean,
true.
OS,
like when they called it Phone OS.
No, well, yeah, you're right. Did they, Jeff, at one point?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean,
Phony
I was
OS.
thinking OS 10, and how it morphed into Mac OS. So
Mm,
Yeah, they had Phone OS, and then later on changed it to iOS because it was encompassing multiple devices. And now they've been using different names to differentiate the flavors for each device. And iPhone is the one that sticks with iOS.
I want
A
Cafe
rose
Logo
by any
OS.
other name would still smell as sweet.
took it right
Rose
out of my
OS.
pulled it right out of my brain, Mark. Hey, just to return real quick for a second to a previous topic, Brittany is still in the chat room, and she said because she'll forget, there's some real cool cognitive research she's read in relation to AR and VR about how much feedback from the rest of our body we need to consider in UI design for AR and VR. And so much that's poorly understood about the role of what we traditionally considered neurotransmitters in other part of the body.
I'm curious, are many people here going to buy a set when it comes out first?
That of
Well,
what?
I don't know.
The
Yeah, we'll have to see what it's
glasses
like.
and stuff.
I have to see what it's like and what it costs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the numbers I'm hearing banding about are like 3,000, 2,500 or 3,000.
Yeah. But that's Brittany makes a really interesting point, about other parts of the body needing to be considered for AR and VR. Because,
Mhm.
I don't know about you guys. I've tried, different VR headsets in different situations, and there is something to be said for it. And darn, there's one. I'm sorry, I will look it up when somebody else is conversing. But there was one device I saw at CES. This is a number of years ago. That you sat down, and basically you put your feet on it, and it was more like almost a board with a ball underneath it, so that instead of walking, and of course if you're in
That's
Like a
like in
treadmill.
Disney World. If you go
No,
into
it's-
Disney World, I remember taking my daughter when she was like 7. It flipped her out. We went into the Muppets Theater, and there was a thing where all of a sudden these mice were supposed to have broken out of their cages and went running under all the seats in the auditorium. And what they did is they had set up air jets. So you felt like things were hitting your feet, or like, what's the one in Epcot that Lucas did, where supposedly someone gets murdered above you in the spaceship, and you're supposedly, you understand it's his blood. And what they do is they just sort of sprinkle water on you, but you just buy into the whole thing. If somebody would come up with like somebody at some point I would think would have to come up with something that you could hook up to the glasses to actually give you the physical experience as well as the visual.
Yeah, I'm just throwing in the chat rooms. The product is called 3D Rudder, and if you look at that, I just put the link to the MacVoices episode. But it took a little while to understand it. But basically, you're sitting, but you're navigating with your feet. So if you want to move forward, you tilt what your feet are on forward, and if you want to go back, you tilt them back. So it still gives you the control. But it eliminates that issue, Jeff. What you were talking about a treadmill, but it eliminates the issue of turning left, turning right, and then walking into something, or walking beyond the range of whatever you're tethered to.
Could you pretend you're in an Irish pub falling over from drinking too much Guinness?
Well, no, I think that just happens with the VR. Period.
I just do that naturally. I thought maybe I could stay at home and save a few bucks.
Yeah, but it really was, again, put the headset on and then learn to do it, and in 4 minutes you have it mastered, and it just seemed to make so much sense. So it was very, very cool product. This edition of MacVoices is supported by Truebill. Get control of your subscriptions at truebill.com/MacVoices. What do you spend on subscriptions each month? Most of us think we spend around $80 per month on subscriptions, but we actually spend closer to $200 per month. Truebill is the new app that lets you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't need, want, or simply forgot about. It helps you discover hidden, unwanted subscriptions and cancel them with just one click. Over 80% of people have subscriptions they've forgotten about. Are you one of them? I bet you are. Or maybe it's one of those free trials that renew without notice or your consent. They can cost you big time. Truebill gives you the power to see all your subscriptions in one place, keep the ones you want, cancel the ones you don't, right from the app. Start canceling your unused subscriptions at truebill.com/MacVoices. Go right now, truebill.com/MacVoices. It could save you thousands a year. Truebill.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Truebill for their support of MacVoices.
This is one place where I see Apple being able to make a real difference, because currently there's not a single VR product on the market that isn't ultimately crap on some level. And the first place you can see the problems is if you have any sort of vision impairment. And if you need to wear glasses to actually be able to use the headset, then you're out right there, because it's going to be painfully uncomfortable after just a couple minutes. And which is why at CES, all the VR companies hated when I'd walk up to their booth, because they're like, oh, it's the glasses guy again.
Uh-huh.
And I'd ask them every year, all the different vendors, have you done something to address vision issues? Oh, well, this is just really comfortable, and you don't even need to wear glasses, and it was all about the excuses why they didn't need to fix the technology.
Yeah.
And this is a place where I think Tim Cook is going to help Apple make something that's much better, because instead of looking at the excuses for why they don't need to address the various vision, mobility, auditory stimulus that people get, Apple's going to look at it from, how do we make this work right? And they're not going to get in the game until they do.
Right. Well, that is part of the rumor. I think we talked about it on a show earlier this year, that one of the rumors about the Apple VR glasses is that you could dial in your prescriptive lenses and they would correct for it. So instead of having to put something ugly on top of your glasses, or have something neutral, and have lousy vision, they're doing what is typically an Apple move, focusing on what should it do for the user, and then work back and make sure that get the technology aligned to provide a superior user experience. Now, I don't know anything. I mean, I do know having glasses that I don't know, many years ago, Frederick Johnson, we were having lunch, and he had one of the Google Glass Hole devices, and he gave it to me, and it was horrible. You had you had this big heavy freaking weight on one side of your head, and I couldn't see anything because it was glass with their screen. It was neutral. It was not my not the prescription I need for corrective lenses. So that was the device was a total fail. So what we're hearing, I think, is good on for what Apple's doing, but again, we don't know when it's going to come out. It could come out this year, or it could come out in 5 years. We just don't know.
Well, that's why we couldn't answer Frank's question of who's going to buy one, because if it hasn't addressed issues with glasses, then that's going to cut out an automatic part of the potential audience. And the thing I'm more as interested in as anything is, what is going to be the killer app? I mean, we're all saying, yeah, we want AR, we want VR. Oh boy, but okay, that's great, but what are you going to do for me? I mean, the game thing is pretty obvious. Anybody that's tried the VR headsets has been in usually some kind of game environment. But what's it going to do for those of us that are more productivity oriented, or wanted to do something for us? And I don't have
How
an
about
answer for
artists and musicians? Right now, let's use music right now. As a musician, you tend to create the music in more of a two-dimensional space, because well, if you're writing the music, and and then when you're actually physically creating the music, if it's say a piano, well, now you're still in a two-dimensional space. If it's a guitar, it's mostly a two-dimensional space. A lot of instruments, you'll play them and they're just like in a static position.
Yes.
So what if you could turn that so that when you're creating the music, like designing, when you're composing, you're now composing in a three-dimensional environment. So you're creating what the music will be all around you. And then with the instruments, now all those instruments become a three-dimensional element of this three-dimensional music.
They sort of do that now with some stuff. Dave could speak more to this, but the main thing, like now, like if you listen to spatial audio and music, the main thing that makes it immersive is the sound of the room, which is something artists actually look for when they go into a studio. That's why Abbey Road is so popular. There's something in the wood in the floors, the way they did the walls, everything just resonates perfectly. And then you get the rest of the immersive effect through, like with spatial audio, you can hear the way an effect, like a reverb or an echo, is supposed to come off a plate, or if it's being done just purely digitally. I mean, there's little, it's one of those things that even if you don't know music, but it's not there, you would notice that something's missing. Does that make any sense?
It does. And actually also explains why Apple is investing so heavily in music and music playback devices is they need different technology. And, I think maybe one thing, there's a race going on that, to upgrade our virtual experiences to be more like if we were actually all together in a room.
Yeah.
Instead of me dominating the mic right now, we have all sorts of side conversations and things. And you need a lot of processing power and mics and other things in order to sort of emulate that. And I know Facebook is working on that from an interview I heard with Zuckerberg.
They still in business?
Yeah, they're around. You probably ban them from your phone, so you probably never see them. But anyway,
I got rid of them 3 months ago.
The snake is still in the garden. But anyway, coming back to just better audio quality, I think that might be one thing that Apple certainly could bring. But given their long commitment for accessibility, I would be very surprised if they don't account for the fact that different people have different visual needs and incorporate that in some of their phones. Some of their VR AR devices from day one. So as witnessed by the fact that Tim Cook himself wears corrective lenses.
Oh, that's a good point. Mark, I hadn't thought about that.
So I don't know if it'll be a killer app, but something that I thought of when we were discussing using the device with eyeglasses. I wonder if there could be some kind of health-related apps for the headset, like what about an at-home vision test right in virtual reality?
Oh,
I think that'd be cool.
That'd be fantastic.
Because I know there is at least one iPhone app that can do that. They send you the special kit with the special device that you hook onto it.
So at the end, what happens? You just know what your prescription is, and then you need to go to an optometrist or some sort of other licensed professional in order to get a prescription to get glasses?
There are also some online places to get
what's
it
that
too.
one with the W?
Warby Parker.
Warby Parker. You send them your prescription and you pick from like 5 different styles of frames and stuff.
Yeah, but there was somebody.
Right, but where does the prescription come from in that case, Frank?
Well, you
from
still
an
have
app
to
or
go.
from your
You
doctor?
still have to go to the optometrist, But sort of like what Andrew's saying, you wouldn't have to travel to the optometrist. They could do the whole thing for you right there in that headset, give you the prescription, and then you can either buy from them or it'll become a big third-party marketplace.
Yeah. Brittany is going off to dinner, but she added just one last thing for us. She said fans of the Oculus 2 really like it. I don't know what my farsighted mother does, glasses-wise, but she loves hers. And I asked her what her mother does with it, and she says she enjoys games and tilt brush art, but mostly she does dance beat games for exercise.
Oh,
So, there you go.
So, Brittany, before you go, glad that you're here and just talk about mind, body, and other things people just don't understand. Just 2 words: vagus nerve. It's a direct connection from your brain to your intestinal gut. And, science is just starting to understand some of those connections. So, to the extent you're aware of that and doing things, love to have a chat either on one of these shows sometime or offline. And with that, go out and have a good dinner.
Yeah.
And bring us a doggy bag.
This got real esoteric real quick, but, I think it is, because we usually don't talk about things that, don't exist yet. But I think in this case, there's been so much hype over it, and we keep hearing things leak out of Apple that, prototypes were shown to the board. And, so they have something in mind. It's just, what they're going to do with it and when will the technology be available to actually deliver a product. And again, to Frank's point, at what price? That'll be a big one. Okay, so the next one I'm going to drop in. Whoops, that's not it. I had to look up tilt brush.
Tilt brush is pretty cool. That's where you stand in a VR environment and you're creating the art all around you.
Ooh.
Yeah, if you Google tilt brush, you'll get an idea of what it looks like, and it does look like it'd be very interesting.
So like the old 360-degree theaters they had at Disney World?
No.
No.
Like a holodeck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Even though that too is fictional, that's a good explanation.
So are we.
No.
But they don't realize that in YouTube land.
Well, yeah, of course not. All right. So throwing the next topic into the chat rooms, Conan O'Brien, we talked a couple of episodes of MacVoices Live ago. We talked at length about podcasts and Facebook. And, in fact, we went well beyond Facebook in that discussion. But Conan O'Brien just sold his podcast company for $150 million. So somebody likes podcasts and somebody's making money off of it. Of course.
No, that's not a valid conclusion. All we know is Sirius wants to get or up its game in podcasting, and it's taking a play from Joe Rogan's $150 million deal with Spotify. So they're trying to bring a well-named host and hope a lot of people come along with them and listen to their service or subscribe to their service. So, I think it's, I view it as just an attempt to try to get, into the game. And
yeah, but I don't think I'll tell you why that won't work.
I agree with you. I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm just saying.
Well, not just
Sirius.
based
I'm just saying that Sirius is sort of gone nowhere, and they're trying to do whatever they can. Because don't forget, 2-3 years ago they bought Pandora. So
well, personally, I know, I like to watch the monologues of the late night talk shows. I just watch those on YouTube the next morning.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
that's all I want to see, unless there's some guest that I really, really want to hear talk. Otherwise, you just watch that little bit. So I can't understand. Well, the podcasting thing, when I read that this afternoon, I was wondering at what point do we reach the saturation limit where everybody is basically just producing content, whether it's good or not, and they're also just consuming content.
2019?
Is there going to be a point where anybody's doing anything?
that's been the entertainment industry for decades already.
Right. Yeah, but not to this degree, though. I mean,
Well,
now you got your neighbor's kid.
We have new delivery methods. That's what's changed.
Right.
I have a hypothesis about this.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, so everyone is looking at the Team Coco deal like what Spotify did with Joe Rogan, and that's not what's happening here. They own the properties now. They own the whole company, but they are not paywalling the content. So the content that's already out there and available on all the various platforms, that's staying. So
They committed.
Yeah, so that's a much better way to do this, I think. And what it gives Sirius is another content creation avenue that they're just adding in to the stable of resources they already have. And so it makes sense for them to have something that allows them to have some sort of control over podcast content. And it also makes sense that they would do it in a way different from Spotify, because I mean they have some smart people at SiriusXM. I mean they merged the two big satellite content services into one.
And guess what? They actually make money, unlike Spotify.
And they make money, right? So they can watch what Spotify does and says, "Okay, great, let's not do that." And I think that's exactly what's happening here. So they bought a successful and popular podcast and other streaming content production company that also happens to have the name Team Coco, which is a big feather in their hat, and they just bought themselves into a solid, hopefully from their perspective, position in this part of the streaming market.
And Conan O'Brien was, he's ready to leave TV. I mean, his TBS gig was just getting old. No one was watching. He knew that, and and we all know the history of what happened with him in the Tonight Show and his show in previous years. But it's a great show because it's Conan O'Brien, and he's got 50 employees that are coming with him, and he's going to be able to produce this as he wants, and SiriusXM is going to give him free reign, whatever he wants to do. But the thing is with SiriusXM is they did buy Stitcher, which was another platform that was doing a lot of podcasting, and they dabbled in podcast hosting and analytics. I used to use Simplecast. Simplecast is a podcast hosting and analytics platform that they're pretty successful with. The guys that own that, it was a neat new platform at the time, and they've expanded into that too. But I mean, I've been a SiriusXM subscriber for a long time, and they've got a lot of great content. Of course, Howard Stern helps the fact that that's why they're
started the whole thing.
Extremely popular and continues to this day. And he has a huge fan base and everything else that SiriusXM offers, and they've really gotten a lot better over the years, because everybody thought that you had to have one of those radios to be able to listen to it. No, you can listen to it online. You can listen to it from your phone in your car. If you don't have a Sirius radio, you can easily have it, and subscriptions aren't that terribly expensive. And you're right, Mark. I mean, I think even though their stock price has always been very low, but they're always very profitable in what they've done, and they've had some good management. And I think this was a smart move on their part. And I think that Conan O'Brien's going to, if anything's going to happen, his show's going to get even more popular than it already is.
Well, and I think it's interesting too that they reached out and grabbed Conan as opposed to somebody else like Joe Rogan.
Right.
That is just filled with controversy. I mean, because
they got Howard Stern. That's enough for them right there.
Yeah. Well, and that's been a while too.
Right.
I mean, Howard's been there for a long time, but
Howard's changed his spiel to a degree. Howard is more of an interviewer now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He doesn't have to be the shock.
Yeah, he's not the shock he was.
In the next edition of Mac Voices, our panel continues our discussion of podcasts and where they fit in a multi-channel media world. And we also start a discussion of in-app account deletion. That's all next time on Mac Voices, and I hope to see you then. Until then, and as always, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.